In 2011, the Tohoku earthquake created a tsunami so large that when it struck Japan, it killed approximately 16,000 people, destroyed 130,000 buildings, and caused an estimated $210 billion worth of damage, making it one of the costliest natural disasters in world history. On top of that, when the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant was hit by the tsunami, it began releasing the largest amount of radioactive materials into the environment since the Chernobyl disaster of 1986. Now, almost 3 years later, there are continuing and serious concerns over the levels of both the initial and ongoing radiation contamination, not only in Japan proper, but also what's leaking into the Pacific Ocean. Now, information regarding this nuclear accident has been very tightly controlled by the Japanese government. So we sent Vikram Gandhi to ground zero of this environmental disaster to see firsthand what's really happening in Fukushima.
Ah, that's the Daiichi plant?
More than 160,000 residents were evacuated from the contaminated towns which surround Fukushima. Many of them had little to no idea the full extent of the disaster.
初めてその時はこんな戻れないとは思わなかったですから、2、3日で戻れるんだろうと思って。
We were able to get special access to the exclusion zone by tagging along with the Yamada family as they visited the home they abandoned 3 years ago.
うわー。
いやー、荒れてる。
すごい。
すごい。
そもそもは私たちが逃げていく先の先祖の歴史ですよね。
これでどのぐらいあるか。
The Japanese government has declared most of these ghost towns unlivable. But what is more disturbing is what they are not telling us.
諦めよ。
In the days following the tsunami, a series of explosions ripped through 3 of the Fukushima reactors. Despite global concern of a potential nuclear catastrophe, the Japanese government downplayed the severity of the situation. As a member of the Japanese House of Representatives at the time of the disaster, Hiroshi Kawachi witnessed firsthand the inadequacy of the government response.
Do you think the government is lying about the extent to which the damage has been created by this accident?
この福島事故が引き起こしている危機についての認識が政府にはあまりないのではないかと。福島第一原子力発電所から空気中に放出された放射性セシウムの総量は広島型原爆の放出した放射性セシウムの量の168倍であると。じゃあどう対処するのかということになると、いや大丈夫です大丈夫ですと。
Wondering how radiation levels 168 times worse than Hiroshima could ever be perceived as okay, we decided to investigate further.
In this school, there's an NGO that's going around testing people for thyroid cancer. Thyroid cancer is one of those diseases that's caused by radiation.
Inside, we met with Dr. Masamichi Nishio, who is in the midst of testing local children.
明らかに被爆していることは事実ですから。ですから本来は進むべきところではないです。ところが一切そういうことは言わない。事故を隠蔽するっていう姿勢がもう前面に出て。
Have you been told that there should be warnings because you're going to have a child?
子育てしてる上でも普通に食べ物でも環境でも特にここに注意してくださいっていうのはないですが、個人的に
たくさんありますね。たくさん隠してます。だからモニタリングポストの値なんかでもそもそも低く抑えてるわけです。
The monitoring posts that he's referring to are government-funded Geiger counters, but the problem is that many locals believe that the government has only cleaned up in the area immediately around them. Mrs. Kayoko Hashimoto has made it her personal mission to uncover the truth.
いくら計算しても数値が合いません。国が出してきた数値に対して。0.27 0.33 0.39
The whole concept of these stationary Geiger counters becomes suspect when only a few feet away, the readings are twice as high. And when you move even further away, those government monitors start feeling completely irrelevant.
Over here by the edge of the school,
We're gonna leave it there for a second. Oh, shit. So the reading is now 3.5. That level is 20 times higher than the monitoring post around the corner, on a playground at an elementary school. But why does this all matter? To get a better understanding of the long-term effects of radioactive contamination in our global ecosystem, we went to Okinawa to meet Dr. Joji Otaki, a researcher at the University of Ryoku's, who has focused his research on an unlikely subject. The lifespan of butterflies is only about 1 month, so the effects of radiation in contaminated food over the course of multiple generations can be studied in a short span of time.
We collected horseplant leaves from Fukushima, and those leaves are given to larvae collected from Okinawa. So those larvae are supposed to be healthy, but they ate contaminated food from Fukushima. Then we see what happens.
What happened?
They died.
Dr. Otaki's experiments have showed the truly horrifying effects contaminated food can have on living organisms. So this is a normal butterfly that has eaten healthy food.
That's right. So you can see a very beautiful color patterns and flat wings.
Next up was a butterfly that ate contaminated food at the larvae stage.
Immediately you can see the wrinkled wings.
Doesn't really even look like a butterfly anymore.
No. And we found that the mortality rate and abnormality rate of the second generation is much higher.
And then the third generation?
Even worse in the third generation.
The evidence that contaminated food has increasingly worse effects over the course of generations is especially scary since one of Fukushima's primary industries is agriculture. 49 miles from the Fukushima plant is the farm of Kazuya Tarakawa, tended by his family for 8 generations. In the days after the tsunami, the government allowed them to continue to sell their produce as usual. The current state-mandated limit for radiation in produce is 100 becquerels per kilogram.
3000ベクレルぐらいあるっていうのも何もわからないで私たちはそこで生産してた。それがね、自分では数字はあんの分かってて店に売るっていうのがすごくこう犯罪を犯してるような私はどの数字だったら食べても安全かっていうのは未検出のだけです。
Finding out that he had been selling highly contaminated produce for over 2 weeks, his father was consumed with guilt.
ここにこうあった木に
In the 3 years since the accident, Tarakawa's farm has been cleared to sell crops once again. This was accomplished through an official government decontamination process. They come in, scrape up the top layer of soil, load it into trash bags, and haul it away. And as of now, they have no idea where to permanently store the 250,000 tons of contaminated soil that sits stacked around Fukushima. And as explained to us by physicist Michio Kaku, this is only the beginning of Fukushima's long-term problem.
Realize that we're 50 years into the nuclear age and we still don't know where to put the nuclear waste. We're literally making it up as we go along.
Why should the world be worried about that?
In a normal nuclear power plant, and even in your car radiator, there is a loop that circulates cooling water, keeping the engine of your car cool. At that reactor in March, we had a tsunami, a wall of water 40 feet tall, which knocked out the cooling system. Without the cooling system, the core begins to crumble, melt, and we have the danger of explosions.
The disaster caused irreparable damage to the reactor's cooling system, which led to a triple meltdown. Even now, the system is not functioning normally. A few hundred tons of groundwater are washing underneath the plant every day and being exposed to radiation. That water must be removed and placed into storage tanks.
400 tons of clean water every day, and then it flushes out as 400 tons of radioactive water, and as a consequence, they're piling up tank after tank of contaminated water.
Since the explosion, they've hastily built and filled over 1,000 tanks, which are now surrounding the plant and holding over 90 million gallons of radioactive water.
So what are they doing with it? They're just...
Nothing. No one knows what to do with it at the present time.
Not only do hundreds of tons of radioactive water go into these tanks every single day, but to make it even worse, The tanks themselves are leaking.
300 tons worth of radioactive water leaked right into the ground, even after weeks of denying that any such leak had taken place. Who knows how much of it is washing into the ocean?
We went to TEPCO's headquarters to try and get a direct answer on their lack of transparency, but they wouldn't even let us in the building. The head of PR met us on the front steps, flanked by handlers.
我々は情報公開をきちんとやっていくことは大事だと思っておりますし。
It took TEPCO 2 years to admit that 300 tons of contaminated water were going into the Pacific Ocean. So why would people in the international community or Japan believe TEPCO now?
申し訳ないですけど、もうそれ以上。
Sorry, but it's really out of time, so.
TEPCO's representatives wouldn't talk to us, but we were able to track down one of their employees, who, as long as his image was concealed, was willing to tell us what he believes is the real extent of the damage.
Is TEPCO trying to cover up how bad the water leakage is?
そうですね。はい。それ以外にも非常にたくさんの大きな問題、そういったものが無数にあります。事故から3年近く経ちますが、その中で最初の頃にポンプであったりホースであったり、そして建屋そのもの、そういったものが次々と壊れ始めています。それはだんだん悪くなっています。それぐらいの大きなトラブル、また冷却が止まってしまったりするというようなことが可能性もゼロではないと思います。
Hearing more about the terrible conditions in the facility, we needed to see it for ourselves. After numerous attempts to gain access to the Daiichi facility, we were finally granted permission, but only if we were accompanied by an appointed government official.
We are driving right now with Mr. Kino, who is from the Ministry of Economic, Trade, and Industry. He's on a mission to show everyone that there's nothing to be worried about. That doesn't sound good.
Despite the high radiation levels and the government mandate that all visitors within the exclusion zone need to wear protective suits, Mr. Kino refused to wear any protective gear at all, explaining he wanted to show our cameras and the world that the Fukushima area was safe.
These guys are wearing suits. These are TEPCO employees. We've just been told to leave by TEPCO that we're not supposed to be here, so we're gonna get out of here right now. Mr. Kino, why does TEPCO not want us to be here?
理由はよくわからない。
Clearly, there's more going on here than TEPCO or the government is willing to admit. Add this to the fact that the Japanese government has just passed a law that could impose a 10-year prison sentence on those who leak state secrets, a law that journalists are concerned could be used to silence Fukushima whistleblowers, and the future of Japan begins to look even more bleak.
本当の真実になかなかアクセスしにくくなると。
The government trying to silence people cannot change the dark reality of radiation that may only rear its head in generations to come.
Because of the cover-ups, what could have been a minor nuclear accident became one of the greatest nuclear disasters of all time.
このまま続けると、日本が大変なだけじゃないと、地球が大変なことになるというふうに思います。